Well, you're looking at a Ibanez guitar that was purchased at a used or a secondhand market. As you can see, it's missing all the hardware, and we've pulled all the stuff off of it. So after the gentleman brought it in, just had to start over again. He brought me an active pickup to go here, a single coil unactive pickup, obviously, to go here, and a rail, which appears to be a stacked humbucker, to go here. And so I'm working on figuring out ways to mount the pickups. We're going to have to do some work on the Floyd Rose that came with the guitar. We're going to have to wire the five-way switch in and find a place to put the battery for the active EMG 81 pickup. We'll have a volume and a tone control. Of course, the output jack down here. And we're going to do a cleanup on the fretboard and polish the frets. That'll look nice. Hoping that the truss rod cover is in the box. So, a lot to do on this guitar. Brought in with a shoebox full of parts and pieces. I'm going to do my best to make this thing make music again. The gentleman was pretty fond of the guitar. I own an Ibanez RG570, so I'm very familiar with this guitar. I don't know the model number exactly of this guitar. I'm going to pull the neck, see if I can find that information out by pulling the neck and seeing what's inside there. Maybe there's a model number stamped in there. We'll see. So, a lot of work to do on this one. Yeah, lots of stuff. I'm going to get started today on the electronics and getting the pickups mounted in here correctly and getting everything wired up. Probably pull the neck off of the guitar to make it easier to work on the body. I don't have this thing protruding off the end of the guitar, and I can level up the fretboard and get all the work done on that. Nice big fat frets, and so this thing should be a nice player when it's all said and done. So here you can get a look at the interior of these guitars and how they manufacture them, and poking holes for the wiring through the cavity of the guitar. Don't know what kind of body wood this is. Couldn't tell you. Don't have enough of it exposed to know what that's all about. Probably paint this part of it black for the guy so you don't see that. I'm not sure what that's all about. And somebody put a block in there for the Floyd Rose. The dumbest thing you could do to a guitar with a Floyd Rose is block the Floyd. That's just foolish. So we'll get rid of that copper. I guess it's a piece of copper in there. And you can see that the spring tree, I guess, is bottomed out. So they've done that. Really small cavities here to get the controls and a 9-volt battery in here. So we may do a little bit of digging in here to make the battery fit. The output jack cavity, nice. So we shall see. Somebody carved their initials in this thing. If you know anybody who looks like, oh heck, I don't even know. Maybe they can't write or don't. S, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. Assumed this was a 570 when I got the guitar in because it has no pickguard, which would be a 550. The body's exactly the same. The difference between a 550 and a 570 is the 550 has a pickguard, the 570 doesn't. And look what we found inside. It's an RG570. The necks are built around, or they're all built the same, so they put the 550 stamp on the neck for a 570. It's for both guitars. I'm not sure if that is a date code. I'm guessing maybe the 26th week of 1989 or 99. I don't know. Maybe. If you know what that means, let me know. I'm going to do some research. I'll find out. The guitar like this, typically, we cut their heads off, as you can see. Clean the fretboard in the order of operations. This is what I have to work on right now. I'm waiting for some glue to dry on the body of this RG570. So we will get the fretboard cleaned, polish these frets up, oil the fretboard, and allow that oil to sink in and cure while we're doing the rest of the work on the electronics and body of the guitar. Lots of work to do. That's what it looks like now. We'll be back when it looks a whole lot better. Cleaner on this, and we'll see what kind of mess we can make of this guitar neck. This guitar was bought used, so any of the DNA that I'm washing off of this guitar is somebody else's. Certainly not mine. I generally let my guitars get this nasty, but you can see lots of goo coming off of there. I'll get this all cleaned up, and then we'll polish the frets and lube it up and oil the fretboard. It'll look nice. You got an idea of what it looked like before. And look at that gut come off of there. Isn't that awesome? We're oiled and polished. This guitar's coming back to life. Look at that. Alright. So we're going to let this hang for a day or two. Let the oil cure and get to work on the electronics in this guitar. Really excited to have an RG 570 made in Japan. Great guitar. Well, the RG 570 is going back together again, and we've decided on a way to mount the front pickups. We filled the holes on the sides, and we're going to run some screws down through it with some springs, and we're going to put a piece of foam underneath the pickup to keep that thing nice and tidy and to keep it from rocking back and forth. This isn't going to look beautiful, but the guy doesn't want to put a boatload of money in it, so we're not going for perfection, we're going for functionality. So that's what we'll do. Still have the center and bridge position pickups to do. Get the wiring done, and we'll get the Floyd Rose set up. There we go. We have the EMG 81 installed. We have the single coil center position pickup installed, and we have the Seymour Duncan rail installed. It's going to be kind of a Frankenez Ibanez guitar. So we have all the electronics in the guitar, and now it's time to start wiring up the volume and tone pops and the output jack. Yes, it's an output jack. Okay. All wired up, and what we have is a output jack that was provided to us. It was in the guitar. It's got a dead short in it, so we've ordered a new output jack. I just used the last one of these on another guitar that I had in stock, so I've had to order one. So that's on its way. So in the meantime, what we're going to do is I've put the neck back on the guitar, and we are going to set up the Floyd Rose Tremolo system. We'll see what kind of problems we can encounter with that. So hang in there, we'll be back with a little bit of that process. This opportunity to kind of show you how Floyd Rose works. I'll pull the body of the Floyd out of there. There's the counterweight on the back and the spring holes where the springs load into the plate. Lots of parts and pieces in these things, but these two little knife edges on either side of this, those are what your vibrato are pivoting on, and they pivot on these little stems that are sticking out. They have a little surface here that allows that knife edge to go up and hit that and tilt the Floyd or the vibrato system forward and backwards. This thing will both allow you to pull pitch up and bend pitch down for your dive bombs and things like that. So the springs load in the back side of this. They go through, the springs look like this. They are fed into these little holes, and the hoop on the end hooks on to a bracket on the back of the guitar. This that device right there. That's where your hoops hook onto, and the tension on those springs is what balances the Floyd rose and allows it to float, in effect, be perfectly balanced. We're going to use 9-gauge strings on this guitar. That's what, when this guitar was built, that was the gauge of string that they used on it when it was built. So we're going to stick with that. So we're going to use some 9 Ernie Ball Super Slinky 9s on this, and we're going to get going on putting strings on it here in just a minute. I have also oiled, put a little drop of oil on those knife edges. You can see there's a little bit of oil on those. So keep it lubed. The other thing that I've done is all of this surface was scraped off of here by someone who didn't know how to shim a neck, probably. They were adjusting the neck, the string height, and I don't know, for whatever reason they scraped all the wood off there. So I have hit that with some black paint to make that look a little more original. It looks alright. There's a foam pad down here for when you pull back on it, that the back edge of this will hit. In some cases, this lower edge will hit that. They put that there to keep that from being damaged. Alright, let's get to it. So this guitar arrived without the cover plate for holding the springs in place here in the base plate on this Floyd Rose Vibrato, or the screws. So I had to build this little piece of metal and drill holes through it, and then I had to find a couple of screws that fit into the threads. Given the fact that we work on so many guitars, we've got tons of screws here typically that we can use for that sort of thing. So that's all set up. So now it's time to throw some strings on it and get the balancing act done on the springs, and we'll go over that here shortly. The strings on this guitar, it's all strung up. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit of a pickup height adjustment. We just threw these in, kind of randomly adjusted their height. But the most important thing is the balancing act again on this Floyd Rose. The owner does not have the bar that comes with this, so we may order him a replacement style bar. I'm going to leave that up to him, but what I can do in the time being is use a thread end type, and you can see that this thing tilts down for dive bombs and tilts up for pulling the pitch of the strings up. So the other very important part is the balancing act between the string tension pulling this direction on these saddles, wanting to pull this thing up, and the spring tension back here pulling the opposite direction to balance that thing so it floats. And the adjustment screws here are what we use to get the tension on these springs to counteract the tension of the strings when they are tuned to pitch, so that the saddle sits perfectly level with the top of the guitar. And as you can see, you know, I've been working on these for years and years, and so this is a pretty easy process for me. So again, we're going to tune it up. I need to do a check of the neck relief at this point. We had the neck set perfectly flat when we did the polish job on that. So we'll see what kind of relief we have. We'll get that set. We'll set the string height here at the 12th fret. See how low we can go with this Speed Demon guitar. And then we will do the intonation. As you can see, the saddles are all been recessed and perfectly flat back there, so this is way wrong, I know already. So hopefully we can adjust that and get that dialed in. We'll see how close we can get. The string action adjustments are bottomed out. Both of these are as low as they will go, which is what raises or lowers the string action here. I could lower these screws except for the fact that they're bottomed out. They're as far down as they'll go. So what I will do here is put a shim in the neck of the guitar. So I'm trying to kind of show you how we measure this 17th fret, and we look at the string height, and we can see that that is way too high. That's 64ths of an inch we're supposed to see on the 17th fret. On this guitar, I would like it down around 4/64ths, and we're up around 7 or so 64ths of an inch. So we're going to put a shim right in here in the neck and tilt that thing back. So we'll tilt the neck back a little bit and we will get our string height adjusted perfectly. That's how we roll. Put a shim here in the neck pocket. In fact, this is the shim material that I use. It's a laminate, and it's 20 thousandths of an inch thick. And ultimately, I ended up having to use two thicknesses of that. So about 40 thousandths of an inch of a wedge in the neck. And if you can see, yeah, there's a slight tilt in that. And you can also see that the neck action is now, well, let's see, 17th fret. We want to measure it right there. There's our 17th fret, and it's exactly 4 thousandths of an inch. So it actually, I will check that, and we might bring that up just a bit, but nonetheless, sometimes a shim is the best way to go. We shall see. Looking good. Got strings on it. Plays really nice. At this point, no fret buzz or anything like that. But again, we're waiting on this, unfortunately waiting on that output jack. So we'll get that fixed, but the Floyd works good. Perfectly good tune. Awesome.